GM, fam, pilots, how are you all doing today? Been a heck of a week, hasn't it? Very excited. I am feeling sorry for you if you came here because you were hoping to hear from Alunara. It was a written interview, not a verbal interview. Uh, Unfortunately, Alunara is also off for the weekend, but if you are one of the paying subscribers, great interview. Really fun, fantastic person in the space, does so much for all of us. It's been a long time since we've done one of these live chats. We used to be able to do these pretty much like every day, and then we were chatting in the Discord, which you should all join, and we stopped doing them every day. We decided to do them once per week and do like mega sessions on Fridays and see how big we can get. So we'll do these for the time being every Friday. We'll have like just a little happy hour. Bring a beverage of your choice. Grabbing some water for my sake. Kaizen, all good here. How are you? I'm doing quite well. It's been a fantastic week. It seems like a couple weeks ago I'd kind of called that DeFi was back in terms of people were not afraid anymore and people were getting back into the whole ape energy. And I still feel like that's even more the case. Like obviously we've seen prices of Ethereum nearly doubled from bottom. We've seen prices of Curve nearly double from bottom. So I think just in terms of the raw price energy, which not financial advice, we don't really care much about prices, but people are getting pretty excited here. What's been more interesting, in my mind, is just I felt like when we were in the depths of the bear market, like there was a lot of building energy, but it was kind of like copium. Now it's just like straight up amazing stuff getting launched all the time. So we saw this past week Viper 3.4 launched. That's pretty exciting. They have a enum feature, which is, for those of you who are interested in coding, might make some contracts even more readable and more useful. So pretty excited to play with that some this weekend. We saw Reserve Protocol is joining the Curve Wars. Oh, interesting. Kaizen says the CoinGecko report stated DeFi users only dropped by 13% in Q2 compared with Q3, and that was noticeable. Yeah, I wonder how much that 13% was 3 Arrows Capital, Celsius, and the like. No, I'm just joking there mostly. It seems like most people stuck around. Anecdotally, like it in part seemed like maybe crypto Twitter was getting like a little bit quiet, but I couldn't really tell because most of the people that I follow were there and kind of instantly shifted. Like Alunara, for their sake, started posting these daily copium facts. And I asked, what point does the copium end? And we're going to keep getting copium facts until either Ethereum hits 10K or the merge happens. So I'd personally probably bet in the merge happening before Ethereum hitting 10K, but again, not financial advice and all that jazz. What else happened this week? One of the interesting things was Alunara's pal Fiddy was looking at 3-pool. And of course, at the peak of the bear market, there was all the FUD about, oh my gosh, 3-pool's now just Tether. You know, what's going on? Is Tether a useless coin? And it's completely reversed. We are now seeing that Tether is the minority partner within the 3-pool, which surprising that happens. And Fiddy decided to take a look and match that up against the price charts. And funny enough, it traces perfectly. When we're at absolute rock bottom, Tether is at all-time high in 3-pool. When we are closer to the top, Tether becomes like a smaller component of 3-pool. So possibly, like, I didn't see if it lags the market or if it leads the market, but there could be a possible trading signal there. Lachlan says, GM Garrett, thank you. It is a fantastic morning. I hope everyone is as excited about this day, this weekend coming up as I am. Yeah, if I had more time this week, that would have been an interesting article to go further into Fiddy's analysis on that. But there's been just a wide variety of great analysis lately. Of course, there's the Delphi Digital Report that was looking at TriCrypto and found that in about 2/3 of the cases recently, it was quoting the better price than Uniswap. Now, people were still using Uniswap disproportionately. Not ever 100% sure why that is. There's some people who say that it's because Uniswap has sort of this bespoke UI, but I don't think that's a satisfactory explanation because a lot of aggregators also have bespoke UIs, and in theory would be offering always better prices because they'll either route through Uniswap or through whatever is better. So it's kind of unclear to me. The thing I landed on is I think it's marketing. I think Uniswap spends a lot of money on marketing. And as a result, when I talk to people who don't know much about the space, but they say, "Oh my gosh, I need to get my new, baby Doge Shiba coin or whatever the doggy token of the day happens to be," they don't ask about Curve. They don't ask about these things. They say, "Oh, I got to go to Uniswap." So I think that there's a lot of ape energy, and curious about Kaizen's CoinGecko report that said that 13% of users dropped in Q quarter over quarter in DeFi. And I wonder if that's because DeFi users are just like a bit more on the ball. I wonder if we lost a lot of like the kind of like ape energy from the people who are just like raw speculators. The people who buy at the top, sell. We won't see them again until when they come back. It's gonna be another top signal. DeFi Advisor, hello, source. Thank you, DeFi Advisor. Great article yesterday. I retweeted that in my timeline for people who want to read through it. So much interesting stuff happening lately in crypto. How many people have been following the Optimism Velodrome saga? Because that's been pretty wild. I'm curious to hear people's thoughts on that as to whether it's... So I wrote about this yesterday. All this was coming from someone who used to be kind of a big Curve convex person, and WAGMI Alexander was hosting the kind of bi-weekly go-to like resource on convex bribes, and then got promoted or switched careers into Velodrome and is now like not they're doing what any good founder needs to do for his protocol, which is trying to secure a very good advantage for Velodrome on Optimism. They know that as Optimism goes, like it's probably better off if it's the only thing on the chain. But that's an opinion that I'm not necessarily sure I agree with. I kind of believe that if Curve and particularly like Try Crypto land on Optimism, that could only be good for DeFi in general. We're going to see like a lot more people using Optimism, I would think, if there's if you look at like that Delphi digital report I was talking about, when you look at Try Crypto on Optimism, rather on Arbitrum, it's like 80 to 90% of trades because it's so gas efficient to use Arbitrum, and the fees are bespoke for Curve Try Crypto. The biggest complaint about Try Crypto on Ethereum mainnet is gas usage. So if we also see Try Crypto landing on Optimism, it could chew up a significant amount of the trading between ETH, Bitcoin, and dollars, which is about the most important pairs. So there may be just some concern from Velodrome that's going to eat into the Velodrome business. But my thought would just be that there would be a ton of liquidity suddenly moving to Try Crypto. And in my humble opinion, the grant request that was written up by Wormhole Oracle was not so crazy. So just for context, last summer, DeFi summer, there was a ton of like Avalanche and Harmony and Phantom. We're all trying to get Curve onto their chain and really entice users through it. So they were splashing lots of money, like tens of millions, high tens of millions, hundreds of millions, to try and get Curve and other DeFi protocols to ship on their chains. And part of them were like tying it to TVL and such. And it was this kind of like wild like competition. Relatively speaking, nowadays the Wormhole Oracle proposal was for $1 million worth of Optimism. It's now like 1.5 million because Optimism token's been on the run. But it's not that much money, and this would just simply be going to incentivize Curve pools. And we saw how much TVL flowed to Avalanche during that Avalanche rush. It was really great for Avalanche. They're now like in the kind of top tier of chains. Meanwhile, Optimism is, last I looked on DeFi Llama, 12th place as far as chains TVL. So it's kind of a bit lower, and it needs to do what it can to attract TVL. I would think the Curve pool would be a natural way of doing it. It would seem to me to be a no-brainer. The counter argument being advanced by WAGMI Alexander is that the requirement of claiming curve fees and maximizing your boosts requires activity off of optimism. It requires you to interact with governance and interact on on Ethereum mainnet on the curve site. So I suppose the argument is that you shouldn't be asking users to do stuff off of optimism in order to use optimism. Now, where some of the Curve team rebutted this is that Optimism isn't in competition with Ethereum. It's a sidechain. The idea of being an Optimism maxi is a little bit kind of like funny. So it seems to me to be like an appeal to sort of like patriotism, appeal to jingoism of some sort. Kind of saying like, yes, we're going to be Optimism maxis and let's keep the sun chain. But yeah, someone else in my comments was also pointing out that it doesn't make sense to reward Curve because Curve is such a behemoth. It makes more sense to kind of reward the Optimism native protocol that's an upstart. So there's kind of arguments on both sides. That's why I'm really curious to hear what you all think. Curve does not need the $1 million in rewards. Like Curve has launched on Optimism, it just hasn't launched much on Optimism. It launched one 3-pool and a V1 factory, which has been utilized by Synthetics. Synthetics, by the way, is the highest TVL on Optimism. So I think this also may tie into some of Velodrome's concerns because they are in second place behind Synthetics. And if some of these Optimism rewards are going to reward Synthetics pools launched on Curve, they could see that as giving money to the competition. Layman's terms says LFG. I assume that means Lendflare group, the Lendflare DAO token. But it could mean let's freaking go. Either way, GM to you as well, layman's terms. Amon, unroll the OP rollup. That's a tongue twister. I'd like to say that 5 times fast. Optimism, I'm always a bit curious why it is that Arbitrum has really taken off in terms of DeFi offerings, and Optimism is, essentially like trying to be the same thing in terms of an L2. But it's not really seeing the same traction. Like Arbitrum has just a ton of amazing products being built off of it. So for whatever reason, this has become kind of the nexus of DeFi on L2. So unclear why that is. Let's see, we're 12 minutes in. We're getting up to 7 concurrent viewers. Not bad, not bad. OP Zealots. Lots of acquiring going on with the OP token. Yeah, there seems like there's a lot of people trying to farm, and what do you do with the token that you get airdropped? You kind of dump it. Projects on RB are just much more attractive. Yes, I would agree with that, Kaizen. But there may just be opportunity here on Optimism. Like if there is kind of like equivalent... if there's kind of like equivalent gas efficiency on Optimism... the only downside with Optimism is it's weak to bridge back, but whatever. I like that simple answer by DeFi Advisor. Arbitrum, just cooler. Layman's terms, win ARB token. I would be inclined to bet that the Arbitrum token is, if it's released, planning on release soon, I would assume they want to get that out before the merge. That's just my hunch. So I would be guessing an Arbitrum token soon. But I have no insight, I have no special knowledge, that's just a hunch. Taking your questions this morning. If you like this, please do the Llama's work and share this, like this, subscribe. We today for our article published a article which was just an interview with 0xAlunara. Great interview. If you're not a paying subscriber, that will be released on Monday. Looking forward to everyone getting to read it because Alunara is just a genius in this space. Really a pleasure to talk with. And one thing came up actually in talking with Alunara, which is there's some people who want to subscribe but don't want to use credit card, and that's fine. We have the all the funds that are going to the newsletter are just being used to support PackDAO, public goods. So PackDAO has a multisig. If you want to just send a little bit of cryptocurrency to the multisig, DM me. I'm happy to give access to the article from that. We actually kind of prefer the funds going to multisig because most of the activity at PackDAO is on chain. And some exciting stuff coming with PackDAO, by the way. The Member of Congress auction website is available. We're getting it out of beta soon, so we might be able to actually launch our NFT project, which we've been working on for like a year. So I'm excited about that. And then we have an ERC20 token that's going to be fungible coming soon as well. So a lot going on with that. If you'd like to learn more, we have our weekly community call, happy hour at 11 a.m. So that's coming up in about 2 hours after we get off this. DeFi Advisor asks, is Alunara a man or a woman? Well, in my state, it is illegal to misgender people, so I'm not going to guess. If you are curious and want to guess yourself, Alunara has given at least one public podcast. So if you search the troves for that and find the Alunara podcast, you may be able to infer for yourself based on voice inflection. But some people use like voice muzzling devices, so you can never say. Any thoughts on the ZK Sync, ZK Polygon race? I don't know much about the ZK Sync or ZK Polygon race, so I do not have thoughts on it, but if you have thoughts on it or links on it, I would be very interested. I had like a huge crush of work this past couple of weeks, so I wasn't really able to get to like a lot of like reading about crypto, which is my favorite thing on the planet. But this weekend, I'm actually, knock on wood, kind of caught up. So I'm going to be doing a lot of just like reading about cryptocurrency, which is going to be fun. DeFi Advisor, thanks, sir. You're welcome. Let's see. So for those who are joining later, we've been trying, instead of doing the daily live streams, trying to do once per week on Fridays. And I'm still very new to all this social media stuff. So one of the reasons I'm doing this is to get better at this skill of live streaming, which I think is like a real valuable skill. It's not necessarily easy, or for me it's easy because I'm an idiot. I just talk. But I think there is like an art to doing it well, and I'm kind of interested in hearing like feedback on how to do this better, because I always look at this like, if something happened to cryptocurrency tomorrow, what skills would I be able to transfer away from this into something else? And like Viper might not translate well because no one would be using Viper in that situation, no one would be using Brownie in that situation, but the capability of like actually doing a good live stream, like I could actually see that being kind of useful. So initially I was trying to aim for becoming a TikTok person, because TikTok I know is like very popular amongst the kids, but the channel that I was using for this, which is what the inspiration behind that 1 minute long videos, quickly got shadow banned. So they did not show up in the searches, and I lost interest therefore in doing TikTok videos. Maybe I could just launch a new account or something, because who really cares? Let's see. Anything bullish for CVX in the near future? Frax bribes, Frax base pools, I mean. Yes, I would say that Convex has like a lot of good catalysts. The Frax base pool in particular has been really interesting to watch. So if you haven't been paying attention, Frax on Curve, they launched the Frax USDC pool, and it's a great place to store USDC at the moment. The boosted rewards on Curve are 13.28%, and it's attracted about $500 million, which in our DeFi slump market is a significant amount of money. Also, a lot of the various Frax base pools on Curve have pools launched against the Frax base pool have launched, and these are earning really incredible rewards. So a lot of that's because they're very early, but Frax has promised to heavily incentivize any pool launching against the Frax base pool. So just pulling up some of the numbers here, we see, if you're interested in speculating on Justin Sun's USDD, the USDD Curve Frax pool is earning 36% boosted rewards. TUSD is 32%. APUSD, whatever that is 94%. SUSD 23%, LUSD 87%, and ALUSD frac space pool is 38%. So all of these well into double digits, just off of, and this is off of curve. So if you go on Convex, you get even better yields. And we know that Convex is sort of deepening their partnership with Frax. So we don't we're not privy to any details, but it would be worthwhile to pay attention to what's going on with Frax Space Pool. DeFi Advisor, have I heard about more XYZ adding subscriptions? I don't know what more XYZ is, I'm afraid. In 2 hours, a call on PacDAO. Yes, in 2 hours. I'm going to probably close this stream down by 9, if not earlier. 2 hours after that, we will do our PacDAO call. We're going to review a bunch of things, including we're going to talk about potential rollout strategies for all these kind of exciting pieces coming up. So we have a fungible ERC20 token. The initial one was non-fungible, but the PAC community has voted to make it fungible. So the PacDAO governance token is soon going to be fungible, and then on top of that, we're going to see possible NFT release. So the site will be previewing that. It's looking really, really good. Much to talk about. There's also several PacDAO. PacDAO's been doing the Victory Fund, where we initially were asking politicians to apply for funding, up to 1 ETH and up to 5 ETH for technology grants. And politicians were not interested in applying for whatever reason. So they are in GMI, not going to make it, but we are opening the Victory Fund to anybody. So people who are positively advocating for cryptocurrency or just generally building technology are eligible for these grants. So we've gotten really interesting applications. So we need to discuss the rollout for how we're going to vote for those and give those out. I think you will see you probably know that website, sir. I'm definitely looking at what's going on there. I'm going to need to type this in. Morer XYZ. It sounds more like Mirror XYZ, maybe? Typo? Yeah, it looks like mirror.xyz. Create and connect your world on Web3. Oh, looks like a cool site, although I'm not familiar with it at all. Crowdfund, NFT editions. It's interesting stuff. I'm going to have to play with that a little bit more this weekend. I don't think TikTok is easily monetized, says Kazin. I would agree with that. When I was looking through my competition of the TikTok videos, it was kind of funny because I forget kind of like, because I'm so focused on this Curve universe, I'm really in this tiny bubble of people who really, really care about like analytics and technology and kind of like these hardcore nerd topics. And when I went onto TikTok, it was almost entirely like doggy tokens, price dancing. Like I must have looked like such an odd duck there. But that being said, like it actually does seem to work in terms of like getting attention to random tokens. Like there is like, as the more like I spend time within this kind of cryptocurrency space, the more that I realize we have so many different like niches within cryptocurrency. So our little world of DeFi is really like just this tiny slice. There's a whole slice that doesn't know anything about the curve wars, Convex. They're just literally like focused on like Shiba Inu or whatever their like thing is. There's like apparently NFT, Instagram is this huge thing. So there's all these like little subcultures that I know nothing about. But there is like a lot of people say that like Curve tends to be like more on the boomer side of things. It's got like some older people building it for the space. And I did kind of notice there was like a bit of a gender gap, or not gender gap, sorry, an age gap with regards to cryptocurrencies, even just broadly. About a year ago when we were doing this like boom cycle, like I noticed that young people didn't care about Bitcoin. They just don't. They cared about Dogecoin. They really believed that, hey, if Dogecoin could be our thing, and I put like a few $1,000s into Dogecoin hearing this just because I didn't want to get left behind, because you could see how quickly Bitcoin was able to flip in the existing financial system. So there's entirely an argument that Dogecoin could be the Gen Alpha coin that flippins the millennial and boomer Bitcoin. So I don't know, but like just seeing how universal it was that everyone like much younger than me was speculating on Dogecoin made me think, hey, it's worth a flyer. Excellent. DeFi Advisor has applied for a grant a few days ago because of me. So yeah, just as for transparency, we have not gotten enough of the team or quorum together to even talk about giving out these grants, but we will be looking to do that, especially in the rollout to our upcoming token launch, or relaunch, I should say. So as that goes along, we'll keep you updated with the status. Many protocols also started writing on Miro as a blog instead of Medium or Substack, for example. Interesting. I'm personally very satisfied with Substack for the most part, but I am not above moving. So the thing I like about Substack is it makes it very easy to pay. Period. Like I was able to hook up a business account and allow people to contribute, and at first, I wasn't really interested in like paid Substacks, but then as I started writing more and more, I really saw the utility to it. There's just some things that like when you start to get a bigger audience, like you have to watch out what you say, just because like some people look, you just have a bigger audience. You have to be careful. I'll just leave it at that. When I'm able to restrict content to just paying customers, I feel like I have a much better pipeline of who is getting to read it and much better capability of interacting with and kind of making sure the wrong messages aren't getting out. So there's some stuff that's much better to just discuss in private. And having that paywall has kind of given me that flexibility. Now, that being said, I am generally a believer that everyone should have access to information, so I try and do my best to open things up. In my country, I can't get paid for using Substack for now. Yeah, that's a bummer then, because I do think that maybe I'll need to move over to Mirror if they make payments quite as easy. That's the big complaint I have against Substack is they say that they're going to allow crypto payments, but they have not yet supported that. So people have to kind of ping me directly and say, hey, I'm interested in paying with crypto, and then I say, go ahead and send it to the PacDAO multisig address, just cleaner. I don't have to worry about like any accounting at all because that goes to the PacDAO treasury, not my business. So it makes things easier, but then I have to like manually hook them up and give them a free look. Token relaunch, that's for the PacDAO governance token. It does not have any value outside of voting on PacDAO, so don't get too excited. But we've given out a number of PacDAO tokens to people who have contributed early on, and these are soon going to become unlocked and fungible. So if you're interested in that, we're going to have details on our call, which happens every day, 2 hours from now at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Shisha, have I read about Aura? Yes, I wrote about Aura as well. I was getting so much commentary from people to write about Aura, so I went ahead and did so. I wrote a very long article. I think that in this article, one of the things I really stressed is that, in my opinion, the best thing we can have for DeFi is a very large surface space. And by surface, I just mean the more DeFi protocols and the more DeFi services that launch, the better. If you have a chain and the only thing you can do on it is sit in curve, like no one's going to go that chain. If you have a chain and like Ethereum, where you have Uniswap, you have Balancer, you have Curve, you have Sushi, you have just tons of options for things to do, you're going to see much more activity. So it's a good thing to me that Balancer exists. I still believe that the Curve v2 formula is a bespoke formula that is just not going anywhere, and going to, as more and more services connect with it over time, prove dominant. But I still think that Balancer pools can and will have their place, and Aura is doing a really interesting job building against it. And when I talked with a few people, because I was not very informed about Aura at the time, I was asking people what they thought of Aura, especially some people who had been very like positive and very negative on it, and the people who had previously been very negative on it, they are noticeably less negative now. And I think part of it is that they think that there's a good chance that Aura could do something else with their token. And by that, the argument goes that Convex essentially used up their entire tokenomics to control Curve. But now that most of the Convex is released, there's not any like much more that they can do with their tokenomics to like corner a different protocol. But Aura still has a lot of room in the kind of Aura tokenomics to corner maybe a different protocol. So people are bullish on Aura, not so much for former skeptics are now growing more bullish on Aura, not for anything it has done yet, but because it could go to very interesting things going forward. Amon points out that PackDAO's calls every week, not every day. Yes, every week. So every Friday, crack open your favorite beverage at 11 a.m., whatever you're drinking, and come join us on the PackDAO call. We were talking about all things, a lot of focus on cryptocurrency advocacy. And then we've expanded our mission just to public goods. Buzzy Ness asks, what type of contribution is PackDAO accepting? We're not picky. So if you want to send dollar coins, if you want to send your random doggy tokens, just something of approximate value to what you'd be paying in dollars. And we'll be happy to open up the newsletter because our goal is just we would like to get a good-sized treasury so we can do some damage, especially if prices keep going to the moon and PackDAO only grows its footprint relative to TradFi and the rest of the world. So we're coming up on that 9 a.m. time. Pretty good that we've built this up to 13 views. When we were doing this daily, we were able to like nail like 20 views in some cases. But I'm not I think that momentum was a real thing, but I'm not sure that it's like super easy to do a daily stream every single day. Just because I think that it would work better this particular format if there's like more of a round table. I think you could do a DeFi round table like this every day, but for one person to talk about Curve, kind of difficult to have enough content to do every day and make it interesting. So if people are interested in like trying to figure something like that out, that could be really cool. Amon, wild how quickly Aura accumulated Val. Yeah, it is wild. Like there is so much opportunity in the space to simply like launch a token and completely change the landscape of DeFi. It blows my mind how small this space really is and how early we still are. Got you, boo. All right, don't know what that means, but got you back, boo. So, any last questions before we roll here? I'll grab a final drink of water. Cheers, says Cursed Mining. Cheers to you as well. It's a Friday, so I hope you all have big plans for the day. What's my time zone, sir? Are these live stream regular? My time zone is Pacific time, and these streams used to be every single day, roughly around this time. But we have moved to doing short pre-recorded videos Monday through Thursday, and Friday live streams. So we may shake it back up. We may go back to daily live streams just to keep that momentum going. Oh, interesting. People are liking the possible roundtable discussion idea. Cool, sir. If I prefer once a week, go for it. You know, I kind of actually prefer the live stream to the pre-recorded videos. The pre-recorded videos, even though they clock in at like 1 to 2 minutes, there's sort of like this perfectionist switch that once you're doing a pre-recorded video, you want to make sure it's perfect. And I end up like tripping over myself, and it can take me a half hour to record the 2 minutes in the worst of cases, and it's super stressful. Whereas this, like, it's just more freewheeling, so it's actually a bit easier in a weird way. Do I think Curve or Convex will all-time high again at some point? I would recommend you contact your registered financial advisor, which is not me. Do not take financial advice or price discussions from people on the internet. I would expect that both of these will hit very, very, very much all-time highs and probably fairly soonish. Again, not financial advice. I have no inside knowledge, but Curve is seeing its 15% emissions cut coming up in August. So it's a couple of weeks from now, and it is, last time we saw that it did cause prices roughly to go up about 15%. A lot of other bullish tailwinds for the Curve token. Convex is sitting, of course, like as another gear on the flywheel. So I would expect convex possibly even more bullish in that convex is supply is extremely scarce. So we really saw convex shoot down in the rankings during the bear market, but I would expect that we see the reverse effect in the potential bull market. And it seems like I predicted the bull market was going to resume at the end of summer. It looks like it's actually not even the end of summer yet, and the bull market's already raring to go. So it's if you like prices going up, it's exciting. I'm upset about prices going up because I was really hoping to like buy some more back when ETH was around like 1,000. 2,000 is just like kind of like back to normal in a weird way. Like, just have fun with it, sir. Whatever makes you create your content is in fact better for all of us in the long term. The pre-recorded series is crisp though. Oh, thank you. Long term they all will, LOL. Yeah. I mean, the thing about the curve inflation schedule is it's the same inflation schedule as Bitcoin. It works out to mathematically about the same inflation schedule as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, like you look back not too many years ago and you see these posts from people like, oh my gosh, I had 1,000 Bitcoin and I sold it. Just saying, like, right now Curve is incredibly cheap. It really recalls those kind of early days where you could go to a website for Bitcoin, fill out a CAPTCHA and get 50 Bitcoin. That existed. Convex is submerged in Curve, and even Frax is accumulating Convex to gain control over Curve. Yeah. The number of like stuff getting built off of Curve, just super exciting times. I'm so happy to be in this space. A little surprised because when I first started like looking into Curve and writing this stuff, I assumed all DeFi Ponzi's collapse, so I'd kind of given Curve like a 6-month shelf life. Then I learned more about it, and I was like, oh, this is not going anywhere. Anyhow, looks like the chat is drying up a bit, so I'm going to call it. If you would like more, we can. Maybe it was 25 Bitcoin, not 50 Bitcoin, but yeah, it was crazy. If you would like more, we can always, like, one thing that people had suggested is having these, like, little, like, chat parties in the Discord. So why not? Like, we could stream in the Discord and have some chat parties there. Let everyone, hang out, enjoy happy hour. Thank you all. Always a pleasure. We will continue chatting about how to do this best.